Miss High, Miss Mafia High, autour de notre table. Voilà, vous entendez sa jolie voix. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Bonjour. I'm so pleasure being here. I'm excited to be here.
We are very glad to have you on our show.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about a few things about your life, your career, and the present, the future maybe.
Okay.
And the future maybe. We started with a tune from your last album, a song called Love Light.
Okay.
Can you explain how
Love Light
you recorded and you composed?
Sure.
Explain us what is this tune.
Okay. Love Light is from my last release, which is a single called The Good Times. Love Light was written by a gentleman by the name of Luca Sapio from Italy, from Rome, Italy, and he plays in the royal family, the Italian royal family. I met him about maybe 2 years before the album was released, and I was playing in Rome when I met him with another band, and he actually told me that particular night that he came to the show, he said, you know what, he said, I really would like to talk to you and get together with you because I think something you should have had an album out a long time ago, you know. So he said he wanted to get with me, and we started talking. We exchanged addresses, phone numbers, and started talking on the phone to each other and started collaborating. And he said he really wanted to capture me. So I went back and forth to Rome for the next year, and we came up with this fantastic album. And Love Light is about just life itself, being in love with life, you know, being happy, feeling good inside. I think that all of my songs are about love anyway, so yeah, but that's what Love Light is about.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have worked with Italian musicians?
Yes.
They are the soul cookers?
No. Well, one of them is Italian. The keyboard, the organ player, is Italian. That's Leo. Please don't ask me to pronounce his last name, because
No, don't worry.
But the soul cookers are a trio that I was introduced to, and the same thing with him. He felt that we could do some music together, and we have been together now for about a year and a half. You know, so it's I like all genre of music, so it's a pleasure working with this trio, as well as working with my Italian band, the Royal Family, the Italian Royal Family, and I also work with a Japanese band as well as a Spanish band. So it gives me a chance to kind of like just spread my wings and, you know, just do.
You have worked with a French.
And French, yes,
band, Shaolin.
Absolutely. And I really have to give them credit too, because that was actually the first band for my solo career that I went out on the road with, and I adore them, and I still do, because they were the first ones to come to me and say, we want to work with you. So it was just, it was a blessing, and I enjoyed it. We worked together for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 or 6 years, so that was cool.
The Shaolin.
Shaolin Temple Defenders. We had an album out called Woman. It was different songs that I always liked to perform. Some of my favorite artists, you know, did covers, but it was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Let's go back. Let's go back a few and talk about the Godfather. So, James Brown. We have put a song called Opportunity. It was the time that you met Mr. James Brown.
Yes.
First, can you explain us?
We met him by performing Opportunity. We had recorded Opportunity before we met him, and we were all from Washington D.C. The Jewels. We were called the Four Jewels. At first, yes, and that's when we recorded Opportunity. And we was out on the road, and it was a national hit in the States, so we traveled up and down the East Coast, performing the song. And we met Mr. Brown at the Howard Theater in Washington, D.C. We were performing, we were the opening act for the show that was there. And we were on stage, and I tell this story all the time, we were on stage, and the crowd was making so much noise, So we thought that the crowd was just getting so excited and was so worked up because we were doing such a good job on stage. But come to find out, after the show, it was James Brown in the audience, That's why they were hollering and screaming and jumping up and down, like golly, I thought it was us, But anyway, he came backstage to our dressing room, and when he knocked on the door, we had no idea that it was James Brown at our door. Because at this time, he was at his peak. This was around 1964, 65, or somewhere around there. I'm not good. Long time ago.
Long time ago.
But anyway, it was around 64, 65. But anyway, he came into our dressing room, and he stood up there and talked to us and told us, "Yeah, girls were good.
All right.
Really enjoyed it. Something else. My goodness, I enjoyed the show." So, well, we were just so excited, like, oh my gosh, here's James Brown and standing in front of us, and telling us that he enjoyed us on the stage. And I had seen him so many times before that and never ever thought I would ever get a chance to meet him. But after that, maybe about 3 months later, we were performing at the Apollo Theater. And the very same thing happened. On stage, people raising, someone saying like, "Oh, we're getting down, we're really cutting up, they really like us," James Brown in the audience. So he came backstage, and that's when he told us that he really liked us that much that he wanted us to join his review. And oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. But about 3 or 4 months later, we joined his show, and we traveled with him. Now, one of the girls left before we went on the road with him, so we became the Jewels then. And so that's we stayed with him for about a year and a half before the other girls decided that they didn't want to be on the road anymore. And I was like, "Oh no, you mean to tell me you don't want to be out on the road with the biggest man in show business, Mr. Dynamite, soul brother #1? I couldn't take it. I said, no, I have to figure out something, So I just actually went to him and said, "Mr. Brown, I know the girls are not coming back to the show, but I really would like to stay on the road. I'm really happy about being with you and traveling. I just like to stay if it's possible." "You can stay. I didn't fire you. Stay right here. Stay and be my background singer." So.
I like that. I like when you take the James Brown voice. You do it so good.
But anyway, I stayed with them, and maybe a few years out of the 30-some years I was with them, I was home for a couple of years because I was with child, So yeah, so it's quite an experience.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe the best one. Maybe.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yes.
I talked about the hair.
Yeah, I did his hair for about 18 years.
Right.
Yeah, anywhere from about 18 years. I traveled with him extensively. Even when we wasn't working. If he would go on his vacations and things like that, I had to go with him because I ended up being his hairdresser, So
because hair was very important.
Oh, listen, I couldn't leave my room when I would be traveling because I didn't know what time he would get up, so I just had to be there.
Right.
So he gets his hair done. He would get his hair done in the mornings. And then when it was time to go to work in the evening, I had to go and freshen his hair up. When we got to the gig, I had to do his hair, sit him up in the dryer. After the show, I had to do his hair again.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, always.
Oh.
Yeah. He had great hair too.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought it was wigs or a weave or something like that. No, it wasn't.
Okay.
No.
It was Marv.
Yes.
You were in Vietnam with him, in Zaire, in all the great moments in his career and life.
No, I wasn't in Vietnam with him. That was Marva. That was Marva Whitney. Yes,
Marva Whitney.
But I was in Zaire with him. Yes, I was. That was just a fantastic moment because, you know, just to be there and to see how they received him in Africa was just totally amazing. And I think even before the plane landed, before we landed in Zaire, you could hear the voices of thousands and thousands of people just doing a chant. It was amazing. So yeah, that was one of the highlights of my life, you know, being with him, yes.
Okay. You have recorded a solo album in 1979.
Yes, produced.
South Soul Records.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you explain us how you get in?
Yes. Mr. Brown, I think that he just decided that he wanted to produce an album on me because Marva Whitney had an album out. I wasn't on the road with Marva Whitney at the time, but Lynn Collins and Vicki Anderson and we were all on the road together, you know, different times and things like that. Well, together with Lynn Collins and together with Vicki Anderson. And I never had a record out, so Salso had approached him about an album with me, and so Mr. Brown said, okay, you know, so he produced the album. I wasn't happy about it. That was my very first album ever. But I'm gonna tell you, the way that I had to record it, I was really, really hurt because this was like my first, you know, single. I'm by myself, my very first solo album that I've always dreamed of and wanted to have. And I didn't even know that I was going to my own session. I thought when he called me, I thought I was going to Atlanta to meet him, to do some background. But when I got there, I found out it was my session. And I had no idea about the songs. And I recorded the album in one day.
Okay, one day.
It was just like, I don't believe this. And I cried.
All right.
I cried and I sang, and then I cried again and I sang. You know, it was just, I was so hurt, you know. But anyway, that's my first album, and I don't talk about it too much, but still I was proud of it,
Okay.
you know, proud to have.
Fans talk about Showdown.
Yeah. Well, you'll get a little bit of it tonight.
And don't forget this one because it's Korea.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
the ups and the downs.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
Yeah.
But for you, it's another experience.
Yes, it was an experience, and then there's just the knowing that he wanted to do this for me, but it was just a rush job, you know. And I think that I could have performed better, you know, if I had known. I could have been prepared, you know, but I was frightened and I was worried, and I refused to do it at first, you know. So Mr. Danny Ray was with me, and he called Mr. Brown and he talked to Mr. Brown and told him that I didn't want to do the album. So he had me come to the phone and he said, "This is how you do it now.
All right.
You don't do it now, you never get a chance to do it again." So it was like, okay, I'm doing this. I got myself together, and there it was, Mafia High. Salso featuring Mafia High.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he very rough with his musicians and you especially?
I wouldn't say rough. I would say firm. I would say, yeah, you know, knowing what he wanted out of his musicians and singers, and that's what he demanded. You know, he wanted the best. He was a hard worker,
Yeah.
and so why not his band?
The hardest
And
working.
how did he get there if he didn't push and, you know, rehearse the band like he did and everything? I think it was great, and I feel like I'm kind of the same way. You know, I want my band to sound great. I want them to do their best, and I don't mind rehearsing. Yeah, so that's.
You stayed with him until
I stayed with him until the year 2000.
2000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what makes you leave?
Well, from 1966 to 2000, the year 2000, and like I said, give or take 2 or 3 years that I wasn't there with Child, I just felt that I wanted to see if I could really sing. Could I actually get out there and do my own? Mr. Brown had promised me many times, and he had formed other singers around me to say, Miss High, I'm going to form a group behind you, and I'm going to put you out on the road, you're going to do your own thing. But it never happened. It never happened. And then the last thing I remember him saying to me about that was, I'm going to send the other girls out on the road, but you're going to stay with me. And I was like, what?
Were you jealous?
Jealous of the other girls?
The other girls?
No, because I taught them.
Okay.
So everything that they knew, everything that they sang, and all the dance steps and everything, I taught them. So no, I wasn't jealous, but I wanted to have a chance to really go out there and to find out whether I could really do this or not, and what did I learn from so many years being with the Godfather. So the biggest name in show business. Have I learned anything from him? And I just wanted to see. So I was ready to go. Yeah. So I just said, well, I'm just going to have to walk by faith and leave. And see what happens. Yeah.
And you went with Maceo?
Yes, I did. We were in L.A. doing a film, and it was for the Music Experience. It was for the Music Experience Museum in Seattle, Washington, when they first opened it up. And it was a film about all of the acts in the 60s and 70s and things like that. So we were out there doing the film, and I had a conversation with Mr. Brown that was I wasn't happy about, and I said, you know what? I think this is the time that I need to just break loose and see what I can do. And Maceo was out there. He was in the film too. So I called him about 30 times a day. I knew when he was on the set, and so I would just ring his room, and knowing that he wasn't going to answer the phone, but I'd ring him about 30 times a day and say, I want to work with you. I'm ready to leave Mr. Brown, and I just like to have a chance to work with someone else. And I did that for about a week. And he called me and said, girl, you crazy. You called my room and knowing I wasn't there. And he said, and I'm thinking that somebody important called me and it's you. He said, what is it? Why are you calling me? And I said, I want to have a chance to do something on my own, work with someone else. And so he thought about it and he called me back and he said, you really want to? He said, you're going to leave Mr. Brown after all these years? And I said, yeah, I'm ready to leave. And he gave me that opportunity to be able to get out there and just feel free, and that's when I started, thinking about writing songs. I had written a few songs before, but I just kind of tucked it away because I was like, no, nobody wants to hear what I'm singing, so. But he gave me that opportunity to be free and to experience what it was to be a solo. I mean, I did solo with Mr. Brown, but I had never sang with anyone else, but him. Worked with him, and it was just a different feeling. And I liked it, and I said, well, this is what I'm going to do. So it gave me a chance to spread my wings. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's why you started to work with Shaolin.
Yes, well, I decided, I had a friend here in Paris, and she invited me to come here. And she said, I think that you would like living here, and I think that you could do well with your music. And I was like, what music? But she said, yeah, come over and try it. And I did. I came over and I stayed with her. And all of a sudden, I got an apartment. And And I was living in Paris, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm over here by myself. You know, my family is thousands of miles away, and I'm getting ready to do my own thing. So I went into the studio and recorded a few songs that I had written. And then I met a young lady in London that became my manager. And she's the one that introduced me to Shaolin Defenders. Yeah, because they got in touch with her, and we went to a club that they were playing here, the La Belle. I think that's how you pronounce it. La Belle. Anyway, I'm not going to try that.
We go search.
Yeah. But they were playing there, and they invited me to come and see their show. And when I was thrilled, because I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are great. You know, young guys, but they were just full of energy, very good musicians and everything. And I said, let me think about it, but I didn't have to think about it long, because this was a chance for me to really find out, you know, how it was. And it was great. It was just really, really wonderful. And I really appreciate them and love them very much.
You worked with Speedometer?
Yes, yes. After, let me see, after Shaolin Temple Defenders, I formed a group of my own called the Internationals, and we did a couple of songs together, videos, and that didn't work out too well, but still, I still give my hat off to them because they were great musicians, and just, you know, to have to work with them was just a blessing too. And I met the Speedometer. I met them through Maceo Parker's manager, Natasha Madison. She introduced me to them, and they were doing this project and wanted me to do the lead singing on a couple of songs that on their album, and I accepted. And then after that, a year later, they said, well, you know what? We need to do what James Brown didn't do. You know, he should have recorded you the same time that he recorded the other funky people, you know. So he said, we want to do the same thing. And so I collaborated with them and came up with some great songs too. And they actually made the album, the thing that goes around the album, you know, it looked like James Brown Funky People label. So it was great. It was fun. It was cool. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between Speedometer and Shaolin Temple Defenders for you?
Well, the Speedometer were seasoned musicians.
Oh, right.
Very much seasoned. You know, they were much older, and they still believed in recording with the old tapes and the old reels and things like that. And I was still into that era too, because, you know, recording with Mr. Brown years ago when I first joined him, that's what it was. Everybody was in the same room and things like that. So when the Speedometer recorded the album for me, it was like going back in time, you know, because it was that real sound, that real feeling and everything. So it was more of a more seasoned feeling, you know. So yeah.
Okay. Is there a band that you want to work with? Especially a band that you love so much that you want to work
Well, I've done
today?
that. I've done that. That was with Maceo Parker, because him and I have been the best of friends. You know, I've been knowing him over 40 years. And so to work with him was a dream. I did at one time, you know, thought, would I like to work with Prince? But then I thought about it, and I met him and everything, and he was a great guy. But before I met him, I thought that he was like Mr. Brown. And so I said, you know what, I don't want to go back to somebody that's like Mr. Brown. I don't want that, you know, I want to work with somebody different. But as far as female singers are concerned, boy, I would love to be on the stage with Aretha Franklin. Oh my gosh. She's, you know, Queen of Soul. She's the lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The lady.
Yes, she is.
Um, go back to this album and the show. What you gonna play tonight? Don't say the title. Don't
No.
mention the title.
It's-
But
Yeah, what I'm doing tonight is a different, something that I haven't done, and I'm actually doing all genre of music. I'm doing jazz,
okay.
blues, little funk, rhythm and blues, you know, so it's a mixture.
All right.
Yeah, that's the style that I'm doing, and I really hope that everyone will enjoy it.
Okay.
Yes.
We're gonna enjoy it.
And being that I'm with a trio, a guitar player, organ, and drums.
Yeah.
And I think that we have gotten a chemistry that's just like really, really cool. And I'm enjoying this, you know, very much.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. A few words about the future. Your next
Yes.
project. Next.
Yes, I'm working on several projects, and I'm really excited about it. I am going to have another album with Blind Faith Records, which is the Italian royal family. I'm going to do another album with them. And right now, I'm working on an album with Osaka Monorail.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So that should probably be my next release.
Okay.
Mhm.
We hope so.
Yes,
We'd like
yes.
to hear that.
I'm really excited. And, well, I won't tell you about it.
Did you
but-
meet them? Did you?
Oh, I met them years ago when they were young guys, yeah. When they used to come, when we played Japan, and they used to come to the show and everything.
Yeah, they have recorded an album with Marlon.
Yes, yes, they did.
Okay.
Yes. And from what I understand, Rio, the band leader, he told me that his reasons for wanting to do an album with me, mostly because they've been knowing me for a long time and they love James Brown.
Oh,
But
so
the
much.
second, he said that Marva told him, whatever you do, I'd like for you to work with Miss High.
Okay.
And that brought tears to my eyes. And I was like, you know, because she was one of my mentors. I was, yeah, very, very fond of her music and her, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We hope you're gonna enjoy this show, this stage, and we're gonna put another tune to it. It's called "Summertime." You remember this?
Oh, yes. A song that Mr. Brown and I recorded, duet, and he always told me every summer, Miss High, we're gonna sing some of that. We're gonna do it this summer. This summer we're gonna do it, Miss High. Never did. Never did.
Okay, we thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and
Thank you. My pleasure.
enjoy your show.
Thank
and
you.
we hope to see you with second
Okay.
project. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
Thank you.
We were
It was
glad
my
to have
pleasure.
you
It's
on
a
our show.
pleasure being here.
Thank you
for
very
having
much.
me.
And now, "Summertime," James Brown, the Godfather. So we'll see this high. Thank you very much.
Yes.